So we were talking about
anger,
yeah,
and you were mentioning the Hulk,
Hulk.
and then from there we discussed um, a Jackie Chan movie that's quite recent called Foreigner. And if you want to look at anger, he was a guy who was a Chinese national, but he wound up as special forces for the United States and the wars, and he was quite the person, but he had a tragic background. His wife and one of his daughters were kidnapped by pirates one night while they were all on a boat, and they were raped and murdered. And he saved only one daughter, and he came to America with her, and they're having an American life. And he drops her off, and a bomb goes off, IRA terrorist bomb, and he kills the daughter. And so the rest of the entire movie is him trying to find out the names of the perpetrators so that he can get revenge, and he does. And it's, you know his movie, it's going to be full of action and lots of blood and counteraction. And Jackie Chan is not Steven Seagal. He doesn't just go and wipe out everybody. No, he bleeds.
No, he likes to show that there's like flaws in the action.
Yeah, well, he's real good in this, but he's older. He's like 60, and he has to fight a whole bunch of guys one-on-one. But the most formidable is a special forces guy himself who's 30, and he's just out of the war, so he's really, and he fights him, and well, anyway, I don't need to spoil it for anybody. But anger drives him, and so you want to discuss anger, I'm perfectly willing to take a look at it, because I think I know on what it stands. I could describe personally, I think.
Okay.
You really?
Sure. Let's go. Let's dive in.
Walk right into that.
Dive into the deep end.
Well, to me, I always want to look at the foundation of things, as you know. How many times have I said that? So I look at what lies beneath it. What is the emotion that lies beneath anger? We as men are quick to anger. Someone insults us, we almost immediately feel the response. The anger flares up almost as quickly, and with some people immediately, with the affront, with the attack, or any form, verbal or physical or any other way. There's some people who seem to immediately respond with anger. They probably would have a hell of a time finding any emotion that stands beneath it. What emotion do you think might stand beneath anger? Is it that simple? It's just anger? What is anger? It's an attempt to defend oneself at first, isn't it? And by doing so, doing it through aggression. Okay? So that implies what about the sense of self? That it's vulnerable. It has to be protected. Am I wrong? So that means basically there's a kind of a fear of a weakness that lies beneath the surface of anger, right? Anger is driven by a need to be strong and superior and not to be dominated, because no one wants to be crushed and reduced to slavery or to insignificance or helplessness, right? I mean, that's just it's just an unfolding of the emotions that you're dealing with when you're dealing with anger, because it's underlaid by this vulnerable sense of self. I'm going to say it that way. Is that deniable? You can also look at it from another point of view. You can look at it from the point of view of what Buddha did. He raised up the burning candle, was it? He said, this is, basically, the fire sermon, he said, this is you, this is me, this is us. We all humanity, all humans are on fire with desire. Socrates called it lack. The consciousness is made of pure nothingness, and thus it's always in a condition of grasping. It goes from one phenomenon to another to another. It's always looking to be entertained or to be interested in, and obviously to escape suffering. So Sartre and Buddha agree right there, I mean, soccer says it's empty and it's always reaching. Its nature is lack. Le manque, if I remember right, if that's the way to pronounce it in French, lack. Because it's empty. And take a look at it. Is it not always going from one phenomenon to another? And of course, that's being exploited by, TV. MTV, I watched a little to see what they were doing once years ago, and I saw that they were giving a new image every, not even a full second. Split second images. Conditioning the need. Right? Addicting many, many young kids to what we see now, and in my opinion, it's a profound need for phenomena. They advertise things on television. Don't ever miss this, or don't miss any of your favorite this or that sports, or they always keep attached. Always keep yourself entertained as much as you possible.
They call it fear of missing out, FOMO.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's become a thing.
Yeah, and I know, and I had a friend say to me, "What is life but accumulating memories?" And no matter how much I tried to tell him that you are living in the present, you're dead. You're relying on brain chemistry. It doesn't matter what you better be able to forget them, because they're basically sins. Your self-indulgence, with this guy, your conquest of all the women. I mean, using women like pieces of sexual meat and then throwing them aside because he was a very handsome guy, charming, and women loved him, big guy, and they used to throw themselves at him. Oh yes, okay, I'll use you, and then goodbye, that kind of thing. So don't value those memories so much. They might, like, how many of those memories do you have? The guy says at the pearly gates, "I'm sorry, we can't get you through the keyhole with all those memories." It's just another way of talking about attachment. And according to the Buddha, I see a little statue there of the Buddha. Attachment's the name of the game. We're just so attached to the world. Maharaj said, "The world is your God," right? And as I said a while ago, I don't think I said it on video, but the Maharaj is absolutely right. What do you think of? When do you think of transcendental? When do you even begin to value any of that? All our projects are for the world. I can talk about my spiritual values, but I want to get that generator put together. I want to get the deck painted. You know what I mean? I want to do the things that I have to do, and I think about those things.
Right.
So the only recourse in any of that, therefore, if you're a lazy SOB like me, is to use the Sly Man approach, which you've learned from Gurdjieff, and also more so from Krishnamurti, basically, who says, always meditate, always be attentive, always see what's going on outside, and also pay attention to yourself. And at first it sounds like it's too difficult, and then after you realize it just does itself with your intention, that it's also easy for years and years and years and years, and so you're always in a state of meditation. And it'll save your ass sometimes.
And that's not to disregard other forms of meditation and to not maybe put any time or effort or energy into those other forms.
No, they don't exclude anything.
But you can't live life and just sit under the tree.
The Bodhi tree.
I wanted to go further into the attachment and relate it back to the anger thing. From my perspective, what I've experienced is that a lot of my own anger comes from an idealization of the moment that is projected, right, from my mind. And so I have plans to do something, and something interrupts those plans, and now the entire domino effect falls apart. Something like that.
For those people who heard what John just said, if the idealization of the moment doesn't compute very well, it basically means that he wants the moment to be better. See, and the idealization of the moment. I could talk about mine. I really don't care to dominate in a group of people, and I don't want to be dominated. I'd really like a brotherhood and sisterhood, because that's where the real fun is, you know, when you realize that you're made of everybody else.
An adult to adult conversation?
Not necessarily.
Sometimes
I'm with a good friend of mine who's a brilliant engineer who wrote the only textbook on the subject. He and I often are in the child. We just go to places of humor. We understand humor, and there's no competition or anything. He's way smarter than I am. He wrote a book that would take me 1,000,000 years to learn how to read. There's not a word in it. It's just all kinds of structures that go into making a very elaborate automobile. And very brilliant approach. So I don't have any problem deferring to him, and yet this guy actually defers to me when it comes to philosophy and psychology, because what happens is when you put yourself into a certain channel, you don't learn what's on the other side. Other high level.
Absolutely.
My major advisor at Boston College, when I got a master's in philosophy, Carlos, said right away that people who try to do philosophy, real in-depth philosophy, who come from other fields usually make fools of themselves. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you can't be a specialist in all things.
Even the mathematicians make big, like Heisenberg.
Right.
He thought he had prime matter. I did a paper on that. He thought he had discovered prime matter in subatomic physics, and I disproved his point, and I presented it as a paper when I was in grad school. Even a brilliant guy like Heisenberg could be criticized by a barely out of college kid like me, you know what I mean? If you're doing philosophy, when you do philosophy from that, like I want to call it a professional level, it's all different. It's all different, and it gives people a strong ability to compete verbally. It really does, because as I said to a guy who was just boring the hell out of me one night, spouting philosophy at like a dinner of a whole bunch of 15 people, and I pointed out to him, you're wrong about this, and I showed him contradictions, and then I said, you know, you compete with a philosophy major, and he can lead you around the ring like a little donkey. I actually said that, and I always was sorry for saying that, but it was just angering me. I like to go back, however, to the foundation of this whole thing. The sense of vulnerability comes from, you know, being deeply conditioned as a little embodied being who suffers without understanding physicality. You don't become an enlightened being where you're just all transcendental and nothing hurts you. Children hurt. They come out of one of the great poets. I don't remember exactly. They come on wings of love and trailing clouds of glory, stuff like that. That's how he saw the child, and it's true. I mean, you know, but that's easily changed.
So let's perhaps verbally draw a path of maybe how one identifies themselves down to the essential self. So, for example, there are so many minor things that could happen in life on the outer tertiary, the borders of your life, where, you know, you stub your toe or whatever. They're tiny things that happen. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. But every step of the way with something that could anger you, there is an identity structure that's coming up against. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I was on my way down here, and a guy in a little mail truck was going to pull out in front of me, and then I went by, blew the horn because I was supposed to let him out. But we were all doing 40, 45 miles an hour,
Right.
and he had a stream of cars. Well, I guess he had privilege because he's got a little truck, a government truck.
Right.
And he got angry, even though it was his fault completely. And my response was to be angry.
Mm-hmm. I was cutting across to make a right-hand turn, and somebody was pulling onto the main drive behind me. And immediately, as I went to make my right-hand turn, a pedestrian just wandered right across as if I'm not supposed to hit her by accident. Just didn't, like, blinders completely on, not paying attention to what's going on. She just walked right across. Didn't stop to look at all. I stopped for her, but the person that was pulling into the main stretch almost rear-ended me because they were trying to avoid traffic themselves. And I'm wedged between two people. Like, I can't do anything.
Go
like,
down all the time. That's why I hate to drive in the city.
Right? So it's just, like...
When I go out...
What do you do?
I go west when I leave my house for any kind of... unless I have to go for a chore to go buy something at Home Depot or BJ's, or come here, I go the other way. Mm-hmm. And I jump on 395.
Where there's nothing.
No, actually, I love a place. I go to several different places. I've taken the dogs over the years. But lately I've been going right down 390. It's a 25-minute drive for me. And I take Lucy with me most of the time, sometimes both dogs. And I go down to Hopeville Pond State Park. Mm-hmm. I go down 395, 201 I go east, I think, on 201 for not even 2 miles probably, and there's the park. And I go into the park, there's a huge field so that I can take the dogs walking on the big field. Or then I drive to the back where there's water, the pond, and there are all kinds of people swimming in the warm weather, and all kinds of trees, shaded trees with the big bench tables. And it's really a great place.
It's like a little oasis in the middle of nowhere.
It's just really very, very nice. I go way down in the end, and sometimes I'll take Lucy, go out, and if she doesn't get away from me, it's okay. Sometimes she gets away from me, and she's just such a disobedient. Yeah, the daughter of Anubis. You know, I don't have to listen to you.
So yeah, I mean, there it is again, right?
Yeah.
So this the anger.
I don't get angry at her.
Oh no?
No. I just get scared.
This is a little Chihuahua.
This is the little black Chihuahua. No, I don't get angry at her. I know what she is. There's nobody home. There's nobody home. But
with people there are.
When she is especially after she's had a little exercise and she's eaten, and this is in the morning and in the evening it'll happen. I'll sit with her maybe in the gazebo, and every once in a while she'll just turn and put her head on my chest and stare at me into my eyes, like she's appreciating me, obviously, because she's so relaxed. She's so happy. She's out there. She's in nature. She's comfortable. She's unafraid because she's protected, and she associates that with me. And I'll tell you the truth, being the way I am, that's extremely seductive. A female doing that with me, a pretty little female, I don't care what species it is, there's just the love.
Right.
And I'm not joking, because if people who own pets, really love pets, know this. Those pets live in their heart. They know it keeps them going.
Right.
The heart, I did it in the green room in my pyramid, as you know. The heart, actually, you can feel the heart chakra expand. You can, someday you may feel that. It will actually expand. And of course, my character in the pyramid, her heart expanded into cosmic consciousness. That's a gift. Yeah.
So go back to anger. Go back to...
Well, the anger is basically a defense all the time. It's just a defense of this. Okay, you wanted to say this. It's a defense of the false self system. That's what I called it in my doctoral dissertation, because basically it's only based on memories that were associated with events. And what is the self? The self is the body. What is the body? The body is a field of awareness. You can call it a thing and all that, but everything is a thing. The molecules in the air are things. So this is a thing. It's a complex thing. But basically, the you is what it hears me say, the you.
Mm.
It is that which is awake. And that is the body.
Mm.
The body is awake as not a mind and a body, the mind being separate the way it is for lots of crazy people, unfortunately. Lots of people out of the body, a lot of narcissists who live in the eyes of the other all the time, right? Who never find themselves because there's nobody home to be found, right? There's no real solid personality identity, and they're lucky. They can discover that there is a pure emptiness, and maybe they can step past the narcissism, but it's only a chance. The body is by its nature a field of awareness that creates all kinds of things beyond just sentience, ordinary sentience. There's this thing. It's like it drifts like heat off a hot stove. You can see the heat coming out. What is the heat? It's thought.
Mm.
It's so connected to the brain that it seems to be an entirely different entity, but it's not. It's the same entity, only manifesting probably in different ways. That's always been a big question for guys who, the doctors, the professors who look at the brain as a material thing.
Mm.
And what is this thing, consciousness? Now, some people dismiss it as if it doesn't exist, and so they're not even worth talking to. No, truly. Why the hell would I talk to you since you deny that you're conscious and I'm conscious?
It's like a flat world.
Yeah, flat world morons. And many of them have PhDs in neurophysiology and stuff, but not all of them. So some of them understand consciousness. And one neurophysiologist, a brilliant guy, was saying, if anybody tries to tell you that you're not conscious, then he said something bad. Like tell them something bad. No, he didn't, wasn't swearing, but he like a real insult. Mm-hmm. But my point is, and one guy said that to me once. He was, there is no such thing as consciousness. Why in the world would I talk to you?
Mm. It's like denying that you exist. Period.
Exactly that.
Right.
You're denying that he exists. It's as stupid as stupidity could be, and you find that level because it comes out of some emotionality, I'm sure. You find that even in highly educated people.
You don't think that it was a lack of understanding of the definition of consciousness itself?
Maybe there's some of that. But,
you think it's a defiance?
Like, this is the moment of consciousness.
Hmm.
Anybody watching this, anybody hearing this is having a moment of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you have to be some high floating. I remember the person we know, Raja, saying to me, I don't know if I'm conscious. I wanted to kick him out of the car. I did. It's lucky he has a black belt. I would have kicked him out of the car down in Westerly. Go away. Oh my God, I got angry with him.
And so, well, there it is again.
I got angry with him. I mean, why the hell am I talking to you? Everything stands on this. Mm. You listen to Maharaj. Let's talk about him in terms of the essential
Sri
stuff.
Nisargadatta Maharaj.
Yes, the brilliant, like a Krishnamurti, only to me more powerful in the way he spoke.
Very cohesive.
Yeah, boom, he would take you to a place, you start out in a place you recognize, oh, this is going to be just, and then suddenly he takes you to a place that you didn't expect. Mm. It's really wonderful. Mm. And he's the one who said the way for him, and one he suggests for everyone, is to constantly, as one steps through life, to keep reminding yourself, I am.